Imagine the day in Honkai Star Rail where the enemy boss literally attacks you with her chat. Alright, hey guys, MrPokke here, and this is going to be our SparxiCon boss guide analysis for the upcoming Memory of Chaos 12 fight. She is gonna be our latest, yes, MOC 12 first half, as well as our Anomaly Arbitration, which I'm going to talk about in a separate video. So we're taking a look at her kit, her boss design, as well as the two brand new elite enemies, which is gonna be this chicken over here, Rocking Rebel, as well as the Canvas Peacock, right? So without further ado, the designs of these enemies, our first star is SparxiCon. She's really just basically looks like a taller and more slender version of Sparxie, with a little bit of the black and white mushroom bunny thingies that you can see from the design over here. And all of her abilities are essentially tied to live streaming, and she basically has the ability to transfer an on-field unit to the live stream dimension, which she calls as subfield. We'll definitely know about how SparxiCon is going to be tying up in the version 4.0 story, so we'll be looking forward for the lore in the future. And then for Rocking Rebel, this is pretty much gonna be like a chicken slash base guy with a very similar Mortal Kombat to Euphoria's Fury Praetor, which we have fought from the War Armor arc back in those days, right? So very similar. His kit is also very interesting, which I'll be explaining a little bit later. And lastly, and that is going to be Mr. Canvas Peacock. I think this enemy design is probably one of the most unique elites that I've seen in a while, where it is some sort of like a peacock with like a hand for a head, with multiple drawing tools and a canvas, ties to maybe Nihilux as well as like the manga drawing as a whole. By one fun thing is just going to be noticed over here is the brushes and the color board might actually hint the elemental system in Honkai Star. You can see the colors over here. It's wind, fire, imaginary, quantum, lightning, and physical. Maybe you can consider ice if you combine both blue as well as white for like a lighter shade of blue. So I think that's just my headcanon lore, but I just thought it was very interesting because her entire system, or this Peacock's entire system, is based on the elemental reaction, where he doesn't have a weakness, except that you apply weakness for itself, which is why I'm guessing it actually uses up these paints to paint itself its own weakness. So that's pretty much it. So with the designs out of the way, this is gonna be our actual combat, but we'll first start off with the Memory of Chaos buff, which is gonna be Cyber Mystery. Now you can see from the effects over here, it is definitely favoring towards Elation by having more punch lines on top of a punch line scaling true damage attack at the start of every single cycle. So because of this true damage attack, you could consider Yao Guang to be a decent wheelchair support just for this Memory of Chaos buff to do a set amount of damage every single wave. But don't expect this to be too high. You can see from damage over here, it's roughly 1.3 million against 3 targets, so not too shabby, but I wouldn't say you can run like Silla or Jingyuan and get like a decent out there. So it is what it is. And now I'll be talking about actually the mechanics from the different enemies, starting off with the elites over here first, right? Rocking Rebel. So for Rocking Rebel, it has the same attack pattern as the War Armor Fury Praetor, with a charge move to start playing his bass. So you can literally hear him playing the music on his bass, and the release move, which is only time to rock, to deal massive imaginary damage. So it's almost the same as the Furious Praetor. He would like slam his sword down and do like massive damage, right? For his mechanic, it's gonna be this thing called Get Hyped, where he's either gonna be in a frenzied rendition state or not, depending if you proc a aha instance. So yes, his mechanic is gonna be shielding towards Elation as a whole. So if you activate this thing, it will have a 40% increased damage taken, as well as damaging his own allies and granting us 10 punch lines while being disabled for 1 turn. Otherwise, they will increase the enemy speed, so the entire team's speed is going to be having an increase, and overall a relatively manageable elite, because even though this thing is going to be tied to your aha instance, every single team in the game will have an aha instance. So if you're going to be using aha without any elation units, aha itself will just go ahead and attack. That's pretty much it. So you can still get the benefits for this debuff for Rocking Rebel. As of right now, the only way to instantly dispel Rocking Rebel is to immediately cast an ultimate with Yao Guang. Otherwise, our current aha is going to be way too slow, and he will always lag off the big hit, unless you break his resilience bar before he even takes an action. Then moving on to the next unit, which is going to be way more interesting in my opinion, is going to be the Canvas Peacock. So this is going to be a more unique enemy, where it has 2 different states between colorless and color, with paint determining its state transition. So inherently, it does not have any elemental weakness, but rather the elements will be based on the DPS you use against Canvas Peacock. So at 6 paint, it will become the color state in which it will consume paint to deal damage until it becomes colorless. Entering into a color state also grants punch lines based on the paint obtained, which is corresponding to your damage type as you can see over here. So if you are going to be hitting this thing 5 times physical and 1 time wind, then we have the highest amount of physical paint, right? So that's going to be 5, granting us 25 punch lines in total. Because over here, we're going to be using Final and Ceredra. Almost every single hit was done by Final, which is what determines its final weakness typing. So at this point, you can then attack the Peacock while colorless to give it paint, but once in the color paint state, it will only consume paint by itself via its own attacks. The attack usually consumes 1 paint until Palette Meltdown, which will consume all paint, but this doesn't really usually happen as long as you can either break or kill it. So during the color state, it will also have a 40% res buff to all elements, making it pseudo-resistant until weakness breaking. The toughness bar, however, is the opposite. You cannot break the Peacock when it's colorless, but only when it's colored. If that is achieved, then you can hit it and deal more damage based on the paint remaining, as you can see from this clip over here. So generally speaking, for this new elite, most units can deal with this because technically speaking, you're always on the right element against it. So upon breaking after color, it will really die extremely fast with the paint that it has. So focus on hitting it more to make it change phase faster to get into the color state and then break it as soon as possible. And now we can finally come to the main gist of the video, and that is going to be SparxiConOfficial. So this unit, which I'm guessing is going to be her streamer name, feels a little bit weird for me to play against this thing because am I the streamer or the player against this streamer boss who can put my units in her live stream, but I am live streaming myself recording this while playing? You get it, right? Okay, so yeah, her mechanic is basically relatively unchanged between both phases, and the main gimmick for SparxiCon is the addition of this sub-field via the live stream portion. So you are basically pick one unit, ideally your main DPS, to go into her live stream or the sub-field. So the reality is now going to be in 2 different fields, one with your DPS in the sub-field and the rest of your DPS in the prime field. You can technically see the rest of the units as chat, that they are literally chat in real life, as they provide supports and giving them Ws for the stream by attacking her 2 stream outputs. So I'll split her mechanic into 2 different portions, one during the live stream and one after the live stream. Now during the live stream, you will pick one unit to enter into the subfield and the rest of the remaining unit in the prime field. So the selection is very similar to Calamity Boss Sam, where the unit will be given an extra turn immediately, and any damage you deal within this live stream is only for the subfield enemies, as you can see from this little live stream percentage up there, right? No other damage from main DPS will actually affect SparxiCon's official HP. So you can kind of treat this as like a massive shield that you have to clear before your main DPS can hit Sparxie herself. So in this field, your DPS will deal damage as per normal to the minions, to the, like her spawn chat minions or whatever, and only affecting the percentage over there since you are literally in her stream and you cannot attack the streamer. On the other hand, for the prime field, so it's going to be the separate reality, your other 3 units can actually target SparxiCon, which is going to be the streamer, as well as her 2 little monitors, one being the vertical and one being the horizontal. So for the vertical is gonna be where you are affecting her mobs in the field for your DPS, and the horizontal is gonna be where DPS is at, right? The blue is gonna be for the mobs, red is gonna be for DPS. After you attack the blue screen, it will reduce the mob's damage. And then after you attack the red screen, it will increase your DPS res pen, which means you will deal more damage. Generally speaking, AoE attacks like Yao Guang's basic will hit all enemies at the same time, but I will prioritize a single target on the red field first before moving on to blue, because you want to get out of this field as fast as possible. Both of them have a stack of 4, so 4 out of 4 stacks for the red means maximum res pen, while 0 out of 4 for the blue means reducing the maximum damage possible, as you can see from the thumbs ups as well as the thumbs down. Now you might be wondering, okay, if that is the case and I'm going to be logging my main DPS, I might as well just throwing my support or like a sustain and just deal damage from my main DPS against SparxiCon herself, right? No, because a very important thing to note is that until you break free from this live stream, SparxiCon will have this thing called privacy protection, where she's immune to all crowd controls and a whopping 60% damage reduction. So no, you cannot just throw a weak unit there and brute force, and you really just have to get out of this field as fast as possible. It's as if SparxiCon installed like a VPN and to bypass a VPN. As such, always break free from the live stream as your main DPS, which is where we get into the second portion after you break free. So once you defeat all the enemies in the live stream, you will literally tilt the streamer SparxiCon, and she kicks you out from the live stream or back to reality, which is gonna be our prime field. And yeah, she literally just kicks you out. So upon winning, you will get skill points, in this case being 6 skill points, and triggers a free AHA instance, which clearly shows the Elation shield uptime over here. While this may seem like it only benefits skill point DPS or Elation DPS, the tilted debuff is actually crazy because it is a whopping 100% vulnerability debuff for 2 turns with action value delay. So as long as you can break free from the live stream, any unit can go from a 60% damage reduction on Sparxie to an increased 100% damage taken for Sparxie, making it a lot easier to take her down the moment we clear the live stream. And at this point, since SparxiCon and the 2 output share the same health pool, just deal as much damage as possible before she recovers, and the whole process will restart all over again. And then moving on to the second phase, there's honestly almost no difference except for the live stream where you have SparxiCon herself, so it's going to be a little bit tankier, like 1 elite and 2 mobs instead of 3 different mobs. So every addition units without bounce is going to be having a little bit more difficulties for the second phase. That being said, if you cannot break free from the live stream, you can see from this little red icon over here is a little timer, then she will let go of one of, if not the best ultimate animation I've seen HSR, right? Because she will literally summon her chat to spam you with, I'm guessing, like hate and like bad words to damage your entire team, which I just thought is absolutely ridiculous. I just thought this was absolutely ridiculous because it's like literally me as a streamer getting hate from SparxiCon because I couldn't break her stream fast enough, so it is what it is. Ideally though, this should honestly never happen, as it would mean losing the 100% vulnerability debuff, while she will have the damage taken reduction reduced based on the remaining HP, but it is honestly not ideal. So preferably you never ever see this stream. A little bit like Flame Reaver, you never want to see Flame Reaver doing the massive attack, which could just potentially one-shot your entire team. The actual damage itself is actually not that high. You can see my DHPT sustains relatively easily, but it is more so the damage loss you're going to be getting. So at this point for the team comms, I can try running Archer, Sparxie as well as the Remembrance flagship, right? Keep in mind, aside from Elation, Hyper Carry DPS tend to do very well because they can clear the subfield as soon as possible, but for Final, do not let AI play Final because he will action value advance SparxiCon during the tilted debuff, which lasts 2 turns. And that means that you're going to advance yourself out of the tilted debuff extremely quickly, greatly reducing the damage you're dealing. Remembrance Flagship can still deal substantial damage to Brute Force, but second half is going to be Ligus for this MOC, which is a lot easier with Remembrance Flagship, so plan your teams accordingly. Now, if your main DPS actually cannot deal enough damage in the subfield, then this boss is actually super annoying because it will just repeatedly spam more streams while you cannot get access to the 100% vulnerability debuff, right? So it will basically be a massive HP sponge. A little bit similar to Avenging Dice Rolls back in those days in Memory of Chaos. You can treat this as like an endless cycle of live stream that you have to eventually break free and stop the brain rot. So with all that explained, this is just gonna be my live demonstration against SparxiCon herself, as well as the first wave of elites, just to get an idea of what's going on. I'm gonna be running Sparxie, Yao Guang, Spargo, as well as DHPT. Everyone here is gonna be E0 S1, except for Spargo, which is gonna be E0 S0 on Dance. And yes, this music is I think it's just very interesting on how version 4 is gonna look like. So without further ado, we're just gonna go with all of our buffs. And then Sparxie is just gonna bleh. Alright. Okay, so for the fight itself, the first half is actually really straightforward. Okay, so this is gonna be pretty much the fight itself, and also yes, this is the music where you're gonna be hearing from Rocking Rebel. He's gonna start charging and all that kind of stuff. For your main objective is to always damage the Peacock first, so you can give him pain. Yep, we're just gonna wait. Right, we do not want to cast our Yao Guang ultimate just yet because you want to wait for Spargo's buff. So you can only just hold it a little bit more because we're definitely going to be dealing enough damage anyways. Alright, so now that we are going to be casting our Spargo buffs, get this over here. We can get our ultimate, get a crit damage buff, get the damage buff, get Cypher, and then we let go of Yao Guang. I'm going to be holding out my DHPT ultimate for the next phase because we definitely do enough damage over here. Alright, so this is going to be our Elation instance. With 1 million over here at 20 stacks of Elation. And then this is going to give us more of the punchlines because we basically managed to get rid of his stacks over here. And then for Sparxie, we are going to be... Okay, by the time this video goes up, you'll see Sparxie's early access. So we're just going to spam here, right? So just spam all of your skill points. Alright, let's see how many skill points can we spam. Okay, we didn't really get a lot of Unreal Bangers, already the Straight Fire. But we're just going to let it go for 1 million, which is okay. But majority of the damage is still going to be coming from the AHA instance right here. Right, you can see that damaging his own team, as well as toughness power, which is very nice. This is going to do a lot more damage because my AHA instance is a lot higher. This is 83, right? So that's going to be a 3.2 million instantly getting us to phase 2, which is, like I mentioned, extremely quick, right? If you want to lower your damage a little bit just now in wave 1, you could potentially just save a little bit of skill points so that your Sparkle as well as Yao Guang can get more energy. Because just now we actually killed like super fast because I just want to show you guys the maximum possible amount of damage with the full E0. In any case, now we're just going to choose our Sparxie as our main DPS. And then we are going to apply our ultimate. Get ourselves trail stacks. Get rid of their debuffs as well, or rather the buffs. And then we're just going to spam this all over again. And hopefully this gives us the full clear in this domain immediately. 1.3. So that is the instant clear for SparxiCon, which triggers us our Aha instance, making this team definitely one of the better teams to deal with Sparkle itself, right? So you can see the vulnerability is going to be applied over here. There's going to be 100% damage vulnerability. So we're going to be dealing a lot more damage. We're just going to come here with basic, give us the skill, and then we're just going to do the exact same thing all over again. I actually did not mean to press that, by the way. Oops, that's my bad. I thought that was going to be Sparxie, sorry. I thought that was supposed to be Sparxie's turn, right? So in any case, we are just going to spam this. And then right after, we are going to be getting our elation stacks. Alright, Aha is going to go right after. So hopefully this brings us to phase 2 immediately. Okay, very good. So this is going to be a definitive kill right here. Okay. Very big amount of overkill damage, by the way. So it is what it is. Now we're going to come back in. He's going to give this up. And then we're going to choose Sparxie again. So at this point, we can still use our other unit skill, so don't worry about it. Give us the buffs with Sparxie, or rather Spark. Oh my god, bro, they're all the same thing, right? We are gonna do our ultimate first. Give us trail stacks as well as punch lines, dispelling their little thingy. And then we're just gonna spam our skill points again. See if we can get a good roll over here. Okay, not too bad. We got 3, so 15 skill points. Goes in. 23, 19 remaining. Not quite enough to instantly get the clear, which is gonna be a little bit unfortunate. But it is gonna be okay. One important thing to note is that during your time in the live stream, all elation Aha instance, it will only be targeted towards the sub. So right now, if I were to cast Yao Guang's ultimate, you can see that the damage will only focus on the 19%. So it will help us clear the damage, or rather clear the sub a little bit faster. So this is gonna go in 9%, and then Sparxie is gonna come in very easily, getting us the clear. 900,000 brings us out, gives us a skill point. And then we get off another Aha instance. And you can see my Yao Guang stacks over here is actually at 216, which is honestly kind of crazy. And then we're just going to bring up our Sparxie. The unfortunate thing for this is that my Aha instance here is actually not fast enough to get this within action value. So in the future, if we have a little bit more elation units and we get one more Aha action over here, we potentially could just get ourselves a very easy 0 cycle. Right? So we're just going to go in over here, and then we're just going to cast all of our skills. Boom, 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 boom. I don't think Spargo is going to be able to one-shot SparxiCon, unless... Yeah, it's a little bit far off, and then the MOC DD is going to come in. So at the next turn, we're just pretty much going to be able to get ourselves the clear. At this point, we don't really need to care about it anymore because the Aha is going to go in. And it will get us the 1 cycle dispatch for SparxiCon, right? So that is pretty much the clear for this example. I'll showcase you guys another clear, which is not going to be using Sparxie, but rather our E1 Archer instead. Alright, so this is going to be the clear thread with our E1 Archer with the exact same team. No changes whatsoever. We can definitely go ahead and take a little bit more time in wave 1, unlike just now. Because we clear wave 1 just now like way too fast anyway. So you can store a little bit more of energy, especially for my Spark over here. DHPT is always going to come here. Okay. Okay. We'll dispel this state. Sure. A little bit unfortunate that my Spargo didn't get hit here. So I can't really cast off this, which is a little bit rough. But that being said, because I'm not really running Sparxie, my elation damage is actually not too shabby. So I rather want an energy from Yao Guang instead of just dealing more damage to Yao Guang. So I'm actually just going to let go of my ultimate. If I had Sparxie as my main DPS, I would actually save it. Because otherwise, I'll be losing quite a decent amount of damage. But at least for Yao Guang, her elation skill is more so to apply the vulnerability, which is going to be quite nice for me anyways. Gets a little bit of punch line. We can just go for the basic. Alright, don't worry about it. Spargo brings out my Archer. And then we're just gonna go ahead and cast our ultimate. Alright. Ideally, actually, you just let go of one of Spargo's skills so you can get a DDD value. But we'll let this go here. Let this go. We'll have way more than enough skill points, so I am not gonna be worried. Let go of one of my ultimate for bro. Okay, so let's see if this thing dies. Unfortunately, doesn't quite die here. I am just gonna go ahead and aim this guy because otherwise it might be a little bit of a waste. And I will see if the dragon can actually kill this thing with the follow-up attack. So we'll just go for this. Okay, and then we'll just go for this. Alright, now we let go of DHPT's dragon. Then we'll see if the follow-up attack lands on the bird. Okay, unfortunately, didn't land on the bird. Oh, it does. So that is gonna be very, very good. Then we are just down to our one last guy, which is just gonna damage the other units by himself. That's great. Aha instance triggers. Gets a little bit more of the debuffs. I just want to stack on a little bit more for our damage. Sparkle pulls out my archer, and then we definitely clear this in 0 cycles. So we'll just let this go. Let this go, and let this go right here. Right, very, very good. So we're back to 5 skill points. For this particular instance, the unfortunate thing is, Archer, he can't really clear the field instantly, unlike Sparxie, right? Because his skill point generation here is going to be a lot slower because we only have 5 skill points. It is pointless for me to try to kill them right now. So I will just slowly at least get my ultimate and I'll deal with them a little bit later, right? So this comes in, dispel the state. Okay. Alright, he's going to get a little bit of a hit. Yao Guang is just going to go ahead and cast her skill. And then Sparkle will buff Archer. But we'll let go of this first, so that we can get our vulnerability debuff on the minions. Okay. Okay, now that that is done, we can let go of my Archer ultimate. Hopefully this can get rid of at least one of the mobs. Alright, very, very good. DHPT, we're gonna attack Archer here for a little bit more respect. Actually, I should have waited for DHPT just now, so it is what it is. Okay, Aha Instant is gonna come in again. Okay, 17% left, 4% left. Okay, for this particular instance, it is really, really unfortunate. But we just have to do this. But unfortunately, we didn't get rid of the mob just now. At least right now, we can still continuously aim Sparkle. But 4% was a little bit unfortunate. So now it's going to be 600k. I can just keep letting this go, right? I'll just keep letting this go. As a matter of fact, let me let go of this later on. Okay, you can see how Sparkle's energy also goes up because of the recent rework, which is very nice. And then we can just let this go right now. And then once we get our next turn with Sparkle, we are definitely going to be able to get rid of Bro and get us into phase 2. Dragon is going to go for a little more AoE, which does very nice damage because all of the health is going to be shared. Goes for the basic. Now Sparkle can blow out my Archer. And then we are just going to simply go ahead and cast an ultimate right now. Because of the health remaining. Okay, and then we're just gonna spam this. If my ultimate kills this here, I can save the rest of my skills for phase 2. Okay, that's 2%, which is a little bit rough. At this point, 5 skill points, you actually don't really want to continue anymore. You want to let her take you into the field. So just let her take you. It's fine. So that now this happens, I will have a little bit more skill points to try and deal with this as fast as possible. Right, I want to try and deal with this as fast as possible. So let's just go in. At least we get 3 skill points. And because Sparkle, or rather Archer, does a lot of damage to the main target, we can instantly get rid of the mob with our 3 skills. DHPT goes in for the AoE. And then we have a little bit left remaining at 40%. Now this is definitely not going to be able to clear in 0 cycles. So we're just going to do this to get us a little bit more respect. Okay. MOC debuff comes in. Yao Guang is just going to do the AoE attack, which will give us the respective buffs. Sparkle can just give us a little bit more over here. Aha instance comes in. And then we get one more skill point. Yep, we get one more skill point from that. And then Archer, because we have the 6 skill points, we can just let go of our 3 skills right here. Okay. I will just let go of my ultimate right now, because I'm pretty sure this will kill. Okay, fantastic. So she kicks us out, gives us the skill point remaining, which is going to be 6 skill points. Cast this, and then we just go all in on SparxiCon itself, which will eventually end up being a relatively straightforward 1 cycle over here, right? So this comes in for another elation. This counts back down. Alright, DHPT continues to do damage. And then once we are going to be able to get our turn with Sparkle, it will be fine. Alright, so we're just going to continue basicking. Alright, we'll cast our skill. Get an Aha instance right here, which gives me back another skill point because of Yao Guang. Okay. Flies back down. AoE. Alright, she's gonna cause an AoE, but for us, it doesn't really matter because the tilted debuff actually lasts 2 turns. So even if your units are gonna be a little bit slow, it's gonna be completely fine. Now Spargo will just clear us up, bring up Archer, cast the ultimate, and then this is gonna be our pretty much 1 cycle clear with our E1 Archer with the brand new buff Spargo as well as Yao Guang right here, right? So, very, very good. With that, we have come to the end of our SparxiCon Early Access boss review. Let me know what you guys think of a mechanic. I think this is a very, very, very interesting boss. In fact, I'm more interested in what the lore is going to be coming up in version 4 than this Edge of itself, because I just thought that the environment and like the design, it is quite there, right? I would say, generally speaking, if you do not have access to Yao Guang, because you don't have access to the Elation and you don't gain a lot of benefits, so you're just going to let Aha attack, consider just running your Remembrance Flash against SparxiCon, because if your main DPS cannot do enough damage, it will become very, very draggy, right? So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Word of the day is going to be streamer chat. Join to it, join to it. Use code POKE. You have 10% off gamer subs. All the best. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.